Hey everybody, it's Mumamo. This is our weekly program all about the world's only superhero TTRPG, Mutants and Masterminds. We get together and hang out with fans, chat with player and GM alike about all things hero related, including important topics like today. Happy Pride, everyone. Pretty excited to talk about all this good stuff. We've got such a great community. I'm reading chat right now. Look at this. Michael in chat's here. SC Pilot. Hello, friend. Did I say King Snarf? Nate Robbins is here too. It's Devious, of course.
Duke Gigthorn can hear our music. Good.
Good. There be music. There be Mumamo. Hi, Duke. Michael, stop clocking me. Yes, but you know who else is here? Two of my favorite friends, pals, and grand marshals of our own little pride parade
Right
here at Mumamo. Why don't I turn this down just a little bit? Thank you, Apook. Apook says, happy Mumamo, superfan, and happy Pride.
And unto you, Apook.
He's also with you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so it's the Pride episode of Mumamo, one we love and look forward to every June. The whole month is going to be jam-packed, filled with gay from the top to the bottom. And it'll be fun. SC Pilot says, this is a straight Christian ally. I wish everyone a happy Pride Month. Thank you, SC Pilot. I appreciate that. Absolutely do. And this is a program for everybody. And we are celebrating. We're talking about inclusivity and why it's important. And it's an important conversation to have in these days and these ages. There's a lot of misinformation out there in the world that there's no hope or love, or that there's a very strong and lasting movement of care and concern for everyone, and that's what we're here to talk about. And so let's kick it off. So Steve and Alex, when it comes to one of the things that I love about just the heroes genre itself is that it touches on a bunch of things that like were near and dear to my heart, as far as like growing up as a gay kid and feeling ostracized, but also feeling kind of cool. Like I felt I liked myself. I didn't hate myself as much as, there would be some people that would suggest that be the case. Superhero, the whole genre kind of lends itself well to helping tell that story and get people to understand sort of what it may feel to be on the margins.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, superheroes have long done, a lot of allegory, in terms of talking about marginalized people. Everyone's favorite mutants, the X-Men, are a great allegory for pretty much any kind of marginalized people you'd like. And that's certainly true of a lot of other comic book stories. I think there's been an interesting transition from talking about certain kinds of marginalized people like the queer community in metaphor and then, actually in reality.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex, so when you think about sort of the representation, and I'm speaking very specifically about seeing queer representation in the storyline, because it's also important just to see it around the table as well. And we'll touch on that. But talk to me about that that element of superheroism.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's one thing I've always loved about superhero stories is how they are a safe place for people to come and be seen and to find people to aspire to and to find just inspiration everywhere. And
I think
it's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of my when you think about the superhero genre, it does predispose the people who are engaging in this sort of play that you get to win.
Mhm.
Like you really do. You can aspire to being something bigger than, greater than, but still be you.
Yeah.
You come as you are and also win is really a pretty potent invitation to play.
Yeah, I
And it's
think
one
so
thing
too.
we all need a lot more of right now is the
Yeah.
opportunity to win and to
Mhm.
feel like we can protect ourselves and make a difference in the world.
And have some agency, and and there are a lot of people that or you'll hear folks sort of deride people who were really into games, and it used to be much
Mhm.
they used to be much louder. They're not quite as loud, and many of them have joined, but
Mhm.
there is this element of this is a waste of time, or so much effort goes into it. Why not just play something simple or easier? And I feel like the way that the TTRPG space has grown, inclusive of so many people, and the way that it
Mhm.
allows you to architect some fairly complex interactions.
Mhm.
I think it also gives you some tools that you can kind of use in your daily life, right?
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, folks have often talked about how um, tabletop role playing stimulates the imagination. It fosters group cooperation. It's great for just learning how to be social.
Yes.
And for some of us, who are not especially social by nature, that can be a real boost. My sister-in-law once said, I thought that, referred to RPGs as, I thought that was the way nerds made friends. You know,
Right? Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Nate says this, and I really like this. Non sequitur Nate in chat says, "Safe losing lessons are great for TTRPG to therapy." I mean, like safe
hmm
losing. I kind
Mhm.
of like that. I mean,
yeah,
it helps you kind of maybe demystify the terrible thing, or helps you work through
Yeah.
it. And I love the
yeah,
notion that it gives people who have an anxiety, and everybody has at one point or
sure,
another, and some more than others, but it gives you a real framework to engage.
hmm it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. One of the things I really like is it gives you a chance to practice empathy
hmm
and to have a space to talk about identity where you're thinking you have that sort of external piece of it's the character, but how much of that character is you? How much are you trying to explore of your own self and your own identity when you're coming up with your character?
Yeah,
And is it a place that you can test out something before sort of internalize it, or before you reveal it to the world that that's how you feel about certain things?
yeah.
Hi,
I've
drama dork. Yeah, go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
long since lost count of the number of people who have basically found their way to come out through tabletop RPGs,
Right.
and have had the opportunity, because role playing is so much about experimenting with identity, and stepping into somebody else's life. The sheer number of people who have had that opportunity to sort of test the waters of their identity, of who they think they are or could be. That has been a tremendous help for a lot of people,
Yeah.
and it's been an opportunity to create a kind of safer space to do that.
It does make what happens around the table really important in a way
Mhm.
that
It
GMs
does.
should really take to heart, that they are. And I would certainly not run a table and be like, I am here to change your life through this, but
Right.
to allow people to kind of take from it, and to if they are in that space, to immerse themselves and really do an interrogation on who they are by
Mhm.
through play. And it
Yep.
it really also means, I think, to listen to your players very carefully.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
to know what
agree.
they're
I
yeah.
I was gonna say that, when I was thinking about this, and we were talking about the notion of diversity at the table, one of the things that is particular about queer identity is, obviously, it isn't always obvious. Especially for people who aren't out.
Yeah.
especially for people who are still figuring out their identity, and the like, and people can surprise you. So it's often important to keep in mind that even if you don't think you have any queer people at your table,
Right.
you don't know that.
Mhm.
uh, and I certainly have, especially when I was a kid and I wasn't out, nobody knew, or at least I like to think so. Sometimes we're the last to find out, but
That's
um,
right. Yeah,
Sometimes Nightcrawler's blue.
yeah, right.
that's right.
You know,
Yeah, that's right. I'm reading some really great comments, and first, Paul mentions the history of comics, how it evolved alongside vulnerable communities, and
hmm yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
Most of the early comics creators were Jewish.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely, yeah, and that's it's a point that also is, let's see, King Snarf mentioned that the Green Turtle was a superhero who
hmm
operated exclusively in China against Imperial Japan. Yeah,
yeah,
fascinating. And there's another piece here too. SC Pilot brings up, his first gay character in Eminem was a lesbian, uplifted guerrilla genius.
oh sure.
I love that. And
Who hasn't run into her at a club at one point or
yeah,
another?
absolutely. And her girlfriend, the uplifted lab rat,
Right,
the psychic lab rat. I mean, yeah,
psychic lab rat.
yes, yeah. It's a beautiful story.
Yeah,
A tale as old as time. And
It gives me Monsieur Mala and the Brain vibes, and I'm here for it.
right,
and
exactly.
what's interesting too, and SC Pilot, I want to thank you for sharing this comment. It strikes me um, that marginalized communities are often treated very similarly as far as what they have to contend with,
Yep.
and the if folks are having a difficult time kind of imagining what did I do to make this more gay or what have you. It's not a question of let's gay it up a bit, because if you
hmm
invite a gay person to be themselves and have fun, it'll be plenty gay.
Yeah.
But it's the notion that creating a space that is more inclusive. It doesn't mean you have to do backflips. It doesn't mean you have to
Mhm.
No.
uh, uh you know do anything more than leave space and agree to, with everyone around the table, to leave space for folks to be themselves.
hmm
And
Yeah.
it doesn't, it's very touching and important that you shared that, SC Pilot. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah. So let's see.
And I think that just about talking about people, players coming out, is also the notion. A lot of people have mentioned the ideas of different characters that were what we would refer to as queer coded. Um,
Yes.
that
Mhm.
in when before you couldn't explicitly talk about characters as queer in media, oftentimes they would code certain behaviors, and certain characters would come off as that way.
Yeah.
um, and of course, Hollywood being what it was, oftentimes queer coding got associated with either villainy, thank you Disney,
That's
or
right.
um,
Thank you,
or
Vincent Price.
comic relief,
Yeah.
as far
Yeah.
as that
Yeah.
went. Um, but there is definitely a transition, especially in modern media, where a lot of queer coded characters then became explicitly queer.
Right.
Alex mentioned, the brain and Monsieur Malat, and Doom Patrol being a great example of kind of queer coded characters that they were like, yeah, well, what if they are? you know,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And I do. It's sort of that. I'm not mad personally, and I know that
hmm
this is. I love Disney villains, and
right,
I didn't quite put together why, because
right,
they're all my friends. They're
right,
they're all
exactly,
Ursulas and
exactly.
Captain Hooks and
Well,
all of these. Yeah.
the internet meme goes, they queer coded villains to give us the subconscious impression that being queer was evil, but instead now, well, I just find villains hot. You know,
That's right. It does explain, sort of the growing up and having an affinity for the villainy side of
right?
things. But I think it is important to one identify and understand media on that level, to understand
Mhm.
that is a thing. Now,
Yeah.
what you do with that thing afterwards is really up to you. For me
It is.
personally, uh, I it, I didn't actively chase after the notion of villainy being a sort of a gay thing,
Mhm.
um, but it's kind of fun, and I have since really as I kind of pull pieces apart of what has influenced me over time. The damaging thing is the not knowing
Yeah.
and being
It
sort of subconsciously or kind of guided into a certain mindset and not knowing what the truth is as far as
Mhm.
media representation goes. And when
Right.
you have more power, and
Yes, absolutely.
yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
I think that um, it's important to note that a lot of people talk about the notion of queer pride, and it's a lot of times it's, well, what are you proud of, sort of a thing. And
Yeah,
the important thing to note is that it is called pride because it is the opposite of shame.
yeah,
And it is supposed to be about something that was once considered and treated as shameful, and that couldn't be talked about and was kept secret, and that created that anxiety, that not knowing
yeah,
of, like, what is this thing that nobody will talk about that I feel like I'm a part of, and why does everybody seem to act like it's so bad? And that's why pride is the antidote to that experience.
followed quickly by wrath. That's July.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
followed by wrath,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
absolutely.
gay gluttony, I think.
I think
Hmm.
that's exactly right. Reserved, I think, for August. Yeah.
Nah, sloth. It's too hot in August.
Yeah, it might be
All
sloth
right.
in August,
We'll
actually,
run
now that
out
you
of
mention it.
thought. That's great. Let's see some comments in the chat. Yes, yes, a confirmed bachelor. All of that stuff. One of the things too, it's an affliction that I have seen that I love, and also sort of roll my eyes at. You don't have to suddenly be fabulous, when you're,
No.
doing when you're creating a storyline. Let's say, a lot of our GMs are very theatrical and they love that part. You
Sure.
you don't have to act that part out. You don't. I mean, I think that it would, it's a very thoughtful gesture to think, how can I kind of be inclusive?
Mhm.
Um, and I think that the hardest part of this whole endeavor is when you're amongst friends and you're trying to maneuver through comfort and making sure that, you want to be inclusive. And,
Yeah.
everyone in chat is being very, yeah, Paul Lynde is a great one. We're
Yeah.
just kind of talking about characters. But the important thing is to ask before you do, in a way that's
Mhm.
not like, privately sort of say, "Hey, this is what I've been thinking," and you'll get honest feedback, and maybe they'll love it. Maybe that's what
Right.
that's fine. And if you run afoul of something, a conversation and
Yeah.
being able to be open to feedback and to let it roll, like just keep on keeping on
Mhm.
and persist, even if there's some friction. Of course, everybody's got to be at the table, understanding that there can be friction, and you need to work it
Hmm.
out and be open to the dialogue, like you would any other conflict, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would much rather see folks introduce diverse characters and elements in their games and occasionally get things wrong and course correct than not try at all.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And for, this is I want to say this real quick, just to my gays out there in the world. Uh,
Hmm.
Give people some latitude to make
Yeah.
mistakes and be open to understanding. It's just as important to be gracious when you've been wronged and you see it coming from a place of a good place, not
Hmm.
some like, don't kind
Hmm.
of take that opportunity to be extra double down on somebody who is really trying hard to meet you where you're at.
Right.
That happens a lot, and it can be exhausting
Yeah.
to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is a good time to insert some GM advice that
Mm,
caricatures are not always your friend.
yeah.
Right.
They can be as shorthand for something that is meant to be lighthearted and made fun of, but don't use that for your representation.
Right.
I like
Yeah,
Nate says, not everybody has to wear pink tutus and rainbow boas, but it would be an awesome costume. I mean, yeah,
Mhm.
it's very true. And also, LGBTQIA, that diverse group is
Mhm.
so diverse. Even as you start to sort of look at the individual
Oh, yeah.
letters, it's not everybody is the stereotype, and some people might be. That
Mhm.
is just, yeah, that's just, I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes these things that seem very common sense can get lost in all the noise.
Yeah.
But
Indeed.
yeah,
Indeed.
sorry. Real quick, I'm going to say, where did this saw a great comment? It was, you were right. This is a really good one. Actually, sometimes the rainbow reindeer just likes
Just
rainbow.
likes rainbows. Yeah, sure.
Mhm.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
contrary to belief, we don't actually own the rainbow, you know?
No,
I
yeah.
mean, we're
I
we're
mean,
happy to share,
we're very generous in that way.
right?
Also, we're not the ones deciding what product gets a rainbow on it.
Mhm.
We
Right.
didn't
No.
we didn't pick beer. I mean, it's not
No, if
us.
it was up to us, a lot of them would not.
Yeah.
We have kindly asked them to stop and they refuse.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, indeed.
let's see. I like this is really interesting. Paul mentions, I just as a litmus or
Yep.
sort of test. Um, uh, some advice I took from Chris Claremont is that whenever I create a character, I ask, is there any reason this has to be a straight white dude? Such a small thing, but it works wonders.
It
It's
does
just
indeed.
taking a pause for a moment and just evaluating, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
That is a question I wish a lot more people would ask on the internet before they get mad.
Right.
I
Right.
agree.
Most importantly, does this have to be said by a straight white dude?
Right. That's right. That's right. Let's see. Yeah, and Doc Voigt says this. I ask a lot of questions of my queer friends in order to increase my
Mhm.
understanding.
That's
And
great, Doc.
it,
I think
it
that's
really is.
terrific.
And
Yeah.
especially in the context of setting up for a game, when you're getting ready and you've got a group of people come, there are a ton of questions that you're asking just to get to know people a little bit more,
Mhm.
what their trigger points are, and all of those things.
Yeah.
It's just as important. And the person who's coming to the table who may identify as gay, they that's an agreement too that they'll engage on that subject in order to
Yeah.
make it more enjoyable for all involved. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. So I wanted, speaking of answering questions,
yes,
I am both happy to do so if folks have questions, and both during this show and in general. I wanted to note, in terms of when we're talking about some of this stuff, why we say certain things that we do. Um, I will note that I use the term queer a lot. I have done so since I helped run a youth group many, many years ago, when I was only slightly too old for the youth group myself. Um, and it was a combination of the fact that it's reclaiming a term that our community used at one time before it became a slur, like pretty much everything that referred to us became at one point or another.
right.
Um, and it's just simpler to say than the acronym, which just gets larger every year.
It does. Yeah.
And to me, queer is simply everything that is outside of the cisgender heteronormative
Yeah.
binary. Everything else is queer. you
Yes.
know,
Right. Yeah.
so
That's well said.
it's big and inclusive, and it includes honestly some stuff we don't even have words for yet.
Right. Absolutely. And sometimes, and I say this just because it's important. I think, and I'm glad that you brought it up. Just the words that
Hmm.
we use. I will use gay as a blanket term for
Yep.
everyone, and oftentimes I think as we kind of move forward, it is unfortunate that even in the world, the LGBTQIA world, the cis gay man comes first in the gay, kind of category. And so,
Yeah.
I do mean everybody, unless I very specifically am talking about, but I'm trying to broaden my language. It gets baked in there. And even I'll tell you, listen, the gays were horrible, just like you. So don't, you know,
To be sure.
to be sure. Yeah. Um, let's see. I don't know what that word is, but it looks like a very busy word that I'm not even going to try to say.
That's just fear of the letter 13. Everybody knows that.
Right.
Right.
What's
Right.
the opposite of fear of the letter 13? I think it's being turned on by the letter 13.
Mm.
The number 13.
Oh, I see. The sexy number 13. And I'm just struck by this thought as well. And we're talking about our three individual experiences as it blends with the community that we love. Your mileage may vary, and you may have a very different understanding. I have some very dear friends that really don't like the word queer, and they have got great reason not to. And so I think it's just be prepared for different experiences of different people that will not mirror, just like all things. There's not a gay. There's many kinds of people with many different experiences. Some, I'll tell you, gay kids nowadays, they have it great. We had the gay uphill both ways, I mean, and I'd say that lament, of course, jokingly, because there are many elements societally that have just become so much easier and better and allow for people to be their full selves and not be, sort of arrested development, no matter how many people are out there that would love to see the clock turn backwards. The reality is there's some really great things happening, and it's because people can have conversations like this. I mean, I'm telling you, our chat is lousy with straight people
that we know of.
That's right. Exactly right. Anyway, so I just wanted to get that out.
Yeah, I agree with that. So Gene talks about how players are the only ones who can pick their character's sexual orientation.
Yes.
And I agree with that. As far as that goes, just like everything, don't assume.
Yeah.
I honestly have my friend, our Green Ronine Joe Carricker has a great thing that in part of his early game interviews, planning session 0 stuff, he will have his players give him descriptions of 1 or 2 types of characters that their character finds attractive. They'll be like, describe a couple of people that your character would be like, wow, that person's really attractive. So that 1, he knows, what the characters are interested in. And 2, then he knows how, when he wants to assign that appearance to an NPC, he knows that it's going to get somebody's attention.
Right.
And they're like, oh, this person is totally my type. Like, this is either a really good thing or a really bad thing.
Oh, no, he's hot.
Right. Oh, no, he's hot.
Right. Taking a look around. How close is the villain to this person that I think, oh, no, he is the villain? Like,
right. I've never seen him and the villain at the same time.
Yeah.
No, I can fix him.
Oh, geez.
Steve taught me an interesting gaming technique as well, related to presenting queer themes at the table. And I don't know if you coined this term, Steve, but Schrodinger's bisexual.
Yes.
Where we don't know what the NPC's sexuality is until a PC becomes interested in them.
Yep.
That's right. That's great. I love that.
That's largely a video game technique nowadays, where is this character romanceable? Is the thing, and their orientation is going to be dependent entirely on who decides to romance them.
That's right. Paul says, "I love." Oh no, he's hot as a plot point.
Yep,
that's fun. Why do you keep having?
I've used that for many evil plots.
I love that. The quantum queer, yeah. Absolutely. I do want to address this part too. Nate Robbins had mentioned that the Q word is like the N word, I guess. I will say that it is in a sense, and it isn't in a sense, but
Yeah.
it is it's a conversation for you to have. And also, here's the deal: someone might get mad if you're using, unless if you're a straight person and you say queer or you use it.
Mhm.
But they will definitely be mad at you, or they will, and with good reason if you're using it as a pejorative.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Context is everything.
context is everything, even when it isn't.
Yes.
Because you gotta live with yourself ultimately.
Yeah.
I do
So,
love quantum queers agreement. Go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
Alex, I will say something about the whole sort of Schrodinger's bisexual thing too. That is sort of the reverse. It creates its own problem as well, because when I was working on Strixhaven, there's a bunch of, it's a magical university, and so there's a bunch of character relationships and all of that sort of a thing, and there's a bunch of romanceable characters, and it's exactly that in the book. Where all of these characters, their orientation is dependent entirely on who is interested in them. But the trick gets to be, what if no one is interested in them? Then what
Mm.
is their orientation? Um, and
Interesting.
I noted that the tendency is to default to straight unless proven otherwise.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
and to encourage game masters not to fall into that. It's also perfectly fine for a character to be queer and not and that had having not to have anything to do with their utility as a character.
Mhm.
This character happens to be bisexual even though they're not romantically involved with anyone.
Mhm.
you know and that's
Yeah.
still a part of who they are. But it doesn't have to be. There was a thing, and it's a little less prominent now, but there was a thing that was always about, the constant refrain was, how does this character being queer, why is that necessary in the story, that would be the question. And of course the proper question and response is, why is it necessary for a character to be straight in a story?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and
you
it's a
know
great question to ask. It's sort of like, yeah, I was going to open up the gates on that, but I don't think I will. Yeah, I think it's important as a GM I mean, it is a motivator, and it is
Mhm.
a piece of its reality. It's a,
Right.
it will,
Mhm.
the characters or the NPCs, the whatever will have a resonance of truth if they think from a diverse, sort of mindset. I mean, it's just
Yep.
it's pretty it's pretty elementary, honestly.
Yeah,
But
I think so.
uh, I'm going to get into this. Just for 2 seconds. Hey, King Snarf, I do remember the controversy. I'll say intimately, in the sense that I helped with some messaging afterwards. By the way, not
Mm.
prior, because it was very fascinating. So, folks, you can scroll back, but it. The other thing that a GM has to think about in those kinds of contexts is that there may be somebody at your table that is insensitive. It's not you, it's somebody at your table,
Mhm.
and you can
Mhm.
see that, and dealing with that can be, again, you know, many people would be surprised. I have been surprised in my life by people whom I love suddenly acting quite ignorant, or
Yeah.
doing something that I'm just
Mhm.
like, wait, who are you? What? And the magic is in, how do you resolve it? How do you
Right.
get to a place, because ultimately people are fallible. They'll make mistakes, or they'll say something stupid, and
Mhm.
it is the nature of things. I'm saying stupid stuff all the time. Uh, but
Sure.
the idea is that you want to be able to create a space where they can unstupid themselves, and be prepared for that. Which all that work happens on the front end. But anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so
Uh,
let's look. Yeah, go ahead, please,
no,
please.
go ahead.
I was going to say, let's talk about sort of the creating a sort of, where can you engage a queer character? What kind of elements stories can you tell? What are some of the kind of things what kind of superheroes are out there?
Mhm.
Like, let's talk about that piece.
Sure. Okay. Alex, you want to start?
You can start, Steve. I'm
Okay.
putting some
I
thoughts
mean,
together.
I think that it depends on uh, the degree to which the character's queerness is, again, relevant to the story.
Yeah.
And there are
Mhm.
cases when it can be. So the simplest way to engage is simply as you would with any other character. He has a husband or a boyfriend,
Yeah.
she has a girlfriend, but they're just a character in the story otherwise.
Mhm.
And their queerness is just as much a part of them as any other element you would use to define a character. Um, some of that interaction is going to depend on the player character group.
Yeah.
If there are queer player characters, then they are part of that culture, and there's going to be more interaction on that level. If there aren't, there isn't going to be as much of that. And the queer characters are going to have a certain just sort of background element to them, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Um, it becomes when you start getting into the characters as people and the conflicts they experience and the like, which after all we know is conflict is really the source of what happens to drive plot forward.
Mhm.
um, it becomes whether or not those conflicts are relevant to their identity. Has the mechanic's husband been kidnapped and by a villain in order to blackmail him into betraying the heroes? Well, that's obviously something where his queerness is directly relevant to the plot.
Right.
Um, you know, um, and then you can expand on that. Is it the same as any other hetero couple? And the plot wouldn't be any different if it was a man and a woman, or is their relationship secret, and that's an element of the blackmail plot. It's not just a threat to his life, but a threat to their secret. Um, is there something involving their family? Something involving a character's personal reputation, etc.
Yeah.
Is the reason this character was targeted because of prejudice and homophobia, or were they simply a convenient target like anyone else? And you can decide to a certain degree how much you want to lean into those elements or not, and get a sense from your players in discussions out of game how comfortable they are with that.
Mhm.
Players may say, I'm fine with the queer characters being involved in all the usual ways, but I don't want crimes motivated by homophobia
Yeah.
Mhm.
in the game. I don't want to deal with that in my game. And that's perfectly valid.
It sure is. Yeah, it sure is. And
Yeah, and I would
the
say that there's like, even if people are comfortable with that, don't make that every crime that happens. Like,
No.
yeah,
I
right.
think
Absolutely.
we do a pretty good job. Jonesy plays Mortis in our Freedom McDark series, and Mortis, more often than not, is just one of the characters and just hanging out and doing things. But Mortis has things in his backstory related to his queerness that have come up as plot points.
Hmm.
And Jonesy forced me to play Nightfire, so that's on Jonesy.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, the moment where I didn't have to feel like I had to prove something or be validate myself in certain circumstances, just
Hmm.
being
Yeah.
normal, like just
Yeah.
Mhm.
Being
referencing my
yourself.
life. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it is. There is nothing more. It was the thing that I've always wanted. Growing up, the struggle that LGBTQIA folks have is that they have to prepare for the hate they don't know, that they
Yeah.
can't see or identify. But then
Yep.
Mhm.
stepping into a space where people are just acknowledging it, you don't. It doesn't have to be a pride parade every day.
No.
Uh, I mean, that's not necessarily horrible, but on some days we should take a break and just sort of recognize that we're normal.
Hmm.
We can
We're just
exist,
people
and
over here.
we're just people over here, right? I
Yep.
love that. We're just
Yeah.
people, I love it.
It's one of those things that is sort of a unique element of queer culture. Um, where what you were talking about, Troy, the checking yourself
Yeah.
moment, is this safe
Right.
environment?
Mhm.
And there's definitely an element of folks who enjoy, for example, like queer romance, who do not like that at all.
Yeah.
And and oftentimes it will be a straight audience who finds that that's just a bummer, you know,
Yeah.
as like I just want cute boys who are getting together and making out,
Yeah.
you
Just
know.
that stuff. Right. Right.
And sometimes that's fine, and other times there are queer authors who are like, well, sorry, but this is part of my actual experience, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry if having to step into my life for a book is a bummer for you, but I have to live it. So
Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly. And I really love this comment by Paul. While acknowledging prejudice, it's important to allow depictions of actual joy and
absolutely,
just being sometimes you get in the mail and you are doing just normal things,
hmm
and I
Mhm.
do appreciate that quite a bit. I wish I had a word for it, but the the active like fighting against the cortisol levels in my brain when I think about just
hmm
being normal is really, it's lovely. It's quite lovely.
yeah, indeed,
Also, hello, don't kill my character. Good to see you. Yes.
always a
Okay.
delight.
Let's
Mhm.
see. What else do we have here? I agree. I was a big New Mutants guy.
Yeah,
Growing up.
That makes
Really,
sense.
yeah, yeah, I
I had,
love
I
it.
had a big crush on Sunspot.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and also Nightcrawler's my fave. I like Nightcrawler quite.
hmm
But I really it feels, and what I love too about the sort of X-Men story is that it's such a uniting. There are many people in our sort of society that have the same
hmm
experience or the same vibe with the
Yep.
X-Men, and it's a pretty powerful bonding opportunity.
Yeah,
Uh,
indeed.
yeah.
The next Men
Okay.
97 went putting Gambit in that crop top like we didn't know.
Oh no, they 100% knew what they were doing.
Yeah, absolutely did.
100%.
Absolutely. Um, okay, so have we covered off on gay heroes and villains in Eminem?
Well, I mean, we certainly have. We actually have. I'll admit, I am not as inclined to write gay villains, and that's probably something I need to work on myself. Because I guess I'm still like feeling like we don't have enough queer heroes.
I agree. I
Um,
agree. Yeah.
but I do think it's fair, and it's a challenge because, as folks may know, when you have very limited representation, that character has to carry a lot.
Yes.
Mhm.
They have to represent everybody, and that's a lot to ask of one or two characters. And so when you have a more diverse range of characters, you can have a lot more nuance, and those characters can not have to carry all of the weight
So
of
much.
representation themselves.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that you get to the point where you can also have characters who are, honestly, just not particularly good people. Um, but initially, when you start out, when you want that representation to be positive, because we've already had plenty of queer coded villains and the like, over decades, and we want some heroes. So it definitely has. At least in the Eminem stuff that I've been involved with, there's been a pretty heavy lean towards the heroes, so
Yeah.
far as that goes.
And I think that's lovely, honestly. And you know what's funny too is when I think about sort of my affinity or sort of my joking affinity with villainy, it's really just for me. I don't necessarily need to meet another villain gay person.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I have that Invincible. Have you guys been tuned into Invincible?
I'm not, because Invincible hits a spot in superheroes that I don't enjoy.
Yeah, yeah. And I haven't
I,
watched it either. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
which is
really like it, but
yeah, absolutely, and it's I will say right up front, Invincible is brilliantly written. But superheroes with the bags of blood turned up thing, not my thing. I just
Yeah.
can't get into it.
Yeah. I can't either. It is, the boys, that
Yeah,
kind of.
same problem.
Yeah, I want to like it. I really do. I think that there's just sort of a cavalier mechanic when it comes to sort of, death and dying and that kind of stuff that I just can't quite
Yeah.
forget. But yeah,
Yeah, that's
let's
fair.
see. But there are definitely moments that I enjoy. I just have not. Yeah, and what is Invincible on?
It's on Amazon.
Amazon Prime. Yeah.
I have to take a peek at it, but yeah, people are talking about representation and stuff and how there's an episode that was really touching and kind of sad and yeah, which I
yeah, I was a teenager when Saw came out, so like gore and violence and horribleness was sort of my
is your love
my
language,
coming of age. Yeah.
Wow, the Saw is the only movie that. Well, no, I think there was another one. It was just dumb. Oh yeah, but Saw's the only movie that I walked out on because I was just like, no, I cannot deal with this torture porn. I just cannot. It was just too much. So I huffed on out of there. Said, I'm going to write a letter. And then the other one was that really bad movie about the chef. I think it was called The Chef, where they invited all the people to the island to experience the
The Menu.
Oh, yeah, the menu.
That was the worst.
I thought that movie was great. I really liked that movie.
See, obviously, Alex, you and Troy need to go to the movies together.
We
more
do.
often.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
It'll be a real.
We should start a React channel, Troy.
Right.
Let's do it.
Alex and Troy watch horror movies.
That's right. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Don't come.
Troy passed out. I don't understand.
Oh yeah, not my favorite. Let's see. Alien hit when I was 5. My mother told us the plot at an Italian restaurant. Yeah. So does that mean that you have more of an affinity towards aliens or less affinity for Italian food?
Right.
I'm sorry. I meant ratatouille. I just hate a movie that you can just call the shot before it's even fired. It's real. Okay.
Yeah,
so
to be sure.
So heroes in Eminem that are gay, LGBTQIA.
Well, we've got Johnny Rocket, the first out character I wrote in Eminem. As I mentioned on Blue Sky, I think. It used to be way back when Freedom City first came out, and queer fans would come to the Green Ronin booth at conventions to say how, give me a thumbs up for Johnny Rocket because they thought it was cool. The rest of the Green Ronin staff started referring to all queer people as the Johnny Rocket fan club. That was the code for, hey Steve, some gay person came by the booth to looking for you. They'd be like, members of the Johnny Rocket fan club were looking to talk to you.
I get it. Okay,
that makes his catchphrase. It's Rocket Time even better.
Right?
Is that his real catchphrase?
It is now.
It is on the podcast.
Hilarious. I love it.
And of course, the new Lady Liberty is a trans woman.
That's right. Yeah.
And one of my favorite Eminem characters these days. And we've got Gatekeeper out in the Bay Area, who is a magical character. And we've got a bunch of characters in Atlas of Earth Prime. Although I should have put together a proper list. I know folks in the chat have been citing them.
They have. I'm trying to keep up, but
quite a few. And we definitely have Desert Wasp from Hero High. And we've had a fair number of queer characters in the Earth Prime setting overall. Honestly, I feel like we could probably have a few more. like a lot of queer creators, there was a time when I had a tendency to self-censor a bit. Self-censor a
Mhm.
bit, not self-censor. I hate that. Um, but I had a tendency to censor myself or be like, is this too much, and
Mm.
dial it back too far. Um, and so I think that sometimes I could probably be doing more with that. It's always weird, you're always like, I don't know, is this enough? Is it too much?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Steve, we forgot Adrian and Sala.
Oh yeah, that's right. Adrian Eldritch, our master mage, and his uh, um, very dear roommate um, from back in the 1920s and 30s,
I love that.
have been a couple for literally 100 years.
Hey, yeah, I think too, you should do that, Michael. I love that idea of,
Yeah.
that group of
Mm-hmm.
queer heroes, doing the thing. I think that's really
Oh
fun.
yeah. Oh no,
Let's-
Steve! I just realized I turned Eldritch into like the biggest villain for the last 5 years.
Well, see, you're doing something with queer villainy,
I love it.
and
Yeah.
gods know your version of Eldritch is quite a drama queen. So
He is very much a drama queen.
I love it. I love that.
Yeah. I think Hades and Daedalus could probably be coded that way.
yeah, I mean, I think there are probably quite a few, sort of pansexual characters, especially
Mm-hmm.
the immortal characters. Have always got to be kind of fluid in some way. I can't imagine anyone who's lived that long, hasn't experimented.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, real quick, when you are listening or watching this on demand, you really have to make sure you check out the chat. There's
Yeah.
so much great stuff. Too much for us to be able to maybe we should just do one episode where all we do is just focus solely on what the chat says. That's it. That's all we do. We're just gonna react.
Right.
It's just about that. That'd be hilarious or disastrous or both. But make sure you're doing that. And then also, if you're in chat right now, do me a favor. Make sure that you have liked the stream. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you're at. If you're watching over on Facebook, if you're watching over on Twitch, or if you're hanging out here, also here, I say I'm trying not to focus solely on YouTube, but I do enjoy it as a platform.
Right.
Make sure you're clicking all the buttons. Click that bell, give it a little tickle, and then they'll tell you when we go live, no matter what we're doing, and you want to be in the know. The other thing is share this with a friend. Share. You know what? Do you have a friend who is part of the what was that again? It was the
Johnny Rocket fan club.
The Johnny Rocket fan club. Well, send them this link and say, hey, I think you'll like Mutants and Masterminds, because I think they will. And if they don't, you send them to me. I'll have a conversation with
Troy will sort them.
Yeah, I'll sort them out.
There is a Pink Pony Club Johnny Rocket fan club parody in there somewhere.
Yeah, there's got to be
I'm not
somewhere.
quick enough.
I can't stop thinking about it.
I know,
wish I
right?
could sing. Alex, you're the only one among us that can sing. Oh, Steve, I don't know if you can sing. Are you?
No,
Me
I
neither.
cannot.
Yeah, I had zero idea that Alex was that much of a singer until we went to karaoke, and I'm like, wait
Until
a
you saw him do it,
minute.
yeah.
Yes, I mean
That's how I do things.
that's
Nobody
how
knows I can do it until it happens.
I prefer that method over the look what I can't do, everyone method, which is normally how I operate.
I'm unpacking that in therapy.
Yeah, absolutely. So Troy and Alex, who were the LGBTQIA characters in the setting of Atomic Brain?
I don't remember any queer characters off the top of my head in the metaphor setting, but I've got to imagine there are definitely a couple of possibilities. Certainly, the characters from the Clique have some sort of bisexual girl gang vibes going on there.
Yeah.
But the other ones don't really jump to mind, but I also don't have metaphor as well memorized.
Ken, thank you for that. I appreciate
Thank
it,
you, Ken.
and
Thank
it
you.
is unwavering.
And I want to
Yeah.
note too, speaking of 2 mentions of bisexuality in the last 30 seconds,
Yeah.
that both, first of all, bisexuality exists for
Yes,
those
it
of
does.
you who are not aware.
Yeah.
And second of all, now a lot of the shows have made the, I'm bi actually thing like a recurring joke.
Yeah.
But bi erasure also exists.
Yep.
And there was a very long period of time up until now, still, where a lot of bi people were not considered truly queer,
Yep.
or were considered to be, half gay, half straight, rather than
Right.
100% bisexual.
But a villain on
Um,
both sides of that coin.
right,
Yeah.
I was going to say it couldn't win with
Yeah.
either side.
Right.
So far as that goes, and that's something to be aware of if you're not, when it comes to, bi people in, your setting and bi characters and the like, and to especially be aware that bisexual characters and people in a opposite sex relationship are still queer.
That's right. There's yes, exactly right.
You
Yes.
know, it doesn't
Very
turn
well said.
off the bisexual part.
Yeah, yeah. And I will say this just to make it very clear where we stand on this. I know that it gets longer and longer every year, the LGBTQIA.
Yes,
It's
the
confusing for
acronym.
even us. But the T, it stays.
Oh, 100%.
The
Trans
T,
people are
yeah,
absolutely and always a part of the queer community, and anyone who says
100%.
otherwise is a damned liar.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely
Yep.
right. Non-negotiable.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I just get real torqued about that,
Yeah.
especially where sometimes like I said earlier in the show, the gays we're awful just like you, making the
Mhm.
same dumb mistakes, making the same sort of self-hating, stupid kinds of whatevers. But I'm proud that the LGBTQIA that the T is in there and all the others as well.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
let's see. This is really sweet. Brother Combo says, I wanted to thank y'all as a pan person for making a TTRPG platform that allows me to make something beautiful after past identity struggles.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm very
thank you
glad to
very
hear
much.
that.
And at the end of the day, boy, that's the kind of stuff you love to hear, that people can just
Mhm.
step in and enjoy it and be themselves. And, that's real
Mhm.
special.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, well, would you look at that? It is almost time for us to end this portion of the show. We'll be diving into what's in the tank. Of course, a little
Mhm.
segment we can talk about things going on in the atomicthinktank.com and a lot of things going on. But for now, Steve Kenson, thanks for hanging out and having this conversation.
Pleasure as always.
Love it. I do truly love it. What's going on in the Steve Kenson cinematic universe?
Gosh, let's see. I am finished up with um, Valiant Adventure stuff, and that is all in the hands of the very capable Alex Thomas to work his magic upon. Um, and I am moving on to taking a look at some of the upcoming stuff this month in Atomic Think Tank. We need to get another M&M mix-up rolling. We've got our upcoming Golden Age archetypes. We're working our way through the hero archetypes, and we've got the villain archetypes coming up as well. So I'm looking forward to folks seeing those. It was really great looking back through the Golden Age book, because there's a lot of terrific stuff in there. In addition, we've got a lot of great art for those characters. So it'll be interesting to get those out for folks who haven't seen them.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, what else am I working on right now? Um, oh, and we've got and this to just dip over into the age system and Thursday age.
Yeah.
We've got a very special issue of Engine magazine coming up
That's right.
that features some age system design that Malcolm Shepard and I worked on together. That
Nice.
I think folks will really groove on. It's a really fun experimental issue. So
Well,
I'd be curious to see what folks think.
Steve, That leads me to a quick question. Why not do this live? But would you mind being a guest on Thursday sometimes? Can I hang out and talk about some stuff?
Of course, sure.
Oh, nice, excellent. Yeah, we
Just
not
while the
have you
audience has a captive.
Right.
on- right. A lot
Dirty
of great
pool, Hewitt.
Oops. Yeah, lots of really great stuff coming on. And honestly, I just looked at our list of things that are happening, not just with Age, but we've got a ton of really great stuff coming. And
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to Gen Con. There's going to be a lot.
Oh, me too.
Whoosh, Alex, what's going on with you, my friend?
Well, I'm working on developing my very capable hands to do the job Steve's asking me to do. No, good news. The last Valiant book will be finished today. Well, the writing portion will be finished today. Still has to go to editing and go to layout and all that stuff. But
Right.
Great movement on the Valiant Adventures role-playing game. And somebody mentioned the book that must not be named. That book is in art right now. We're waiting for art.
That is amazing.
So we've got sketches coming in and lots of good stuff. So that book will be ready soon. I'm very excited for people to see that. I was a little self-indulgent. I ordered some Arctic Fox art, but that's just...
Hey, that's developer's privilege.
Yeah.
That's right.
And other than that, those are my two big focuses. I've got Origins in 2 weeks, so if you are going to be in the Columbus area, come say hi. I'm still running games. Michael, hopefully you can make it to Gen Con if you can't make it to Origins. So, yeah.
I was going to ask Alex, I was going to ask you real quick. Are you on Blue Sky? What are you doing right now? Because I know that you are no longer on that other thing.
I have a Blue Sky. I just haven't set it up yet.
Okay, fair enough. All right, we'll wait until you get all baked in, because Alex is not the Washington correspondent for the Arkansas Democrat Gazette.
No, sure ain't.
No, that is not the Alex Thomas in question.
I've not been to Arkansas once.
That's a goal.
It is, yeah, absolutely. I maybe not though. Actually, now that I think about it, hey friends, next week we are talking about heroes from hell and villains from heaven. That was a subject mentioned by Devious and King Snarf. So I'm going to really lean on you guys to tell me what the heck that's about.
We're talking about angels and demons.
Angels and
right?
demons.
Is that what it is? Is that really?
Yes.
That's what the topic is.
And
okay, lovely.
Everything in between.
Yeah, well then that's what we'll be talking about. Perfect time for Wrath Month.
Exactly.
And with that, hey guys, it can be a challenging discussion. It can be a hard one to sort of step out into the world and say, hey, look at me talking about a thing that's me. And I want to thank you guys for spending time and doing it well and doing it with care, thought, and concern. And I think it's important, but I like seeing heroes that are gay.
Yeah.
It's lovely. And
Apu called me out just now. I need to respond just real quick.
Yes, all right.
I don't know if you saw my arc of Into the Idiot Box, but I did do the Bachelor / Survivor with the Arctic Fox as the Bachelor. So.
Make of that what you will.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But yeah, thank you guys. And also, a big thank you to the chat. Wonderful conversations from everybody, and really valued and really appreciated. And I feel like, these are the moments we're doing the work. We're doing the thing that we're supposed to be doing to make the world a better place. And I appreciate every one of you who have dived in. Sorry I couldn't get to everybody's chats and react to all of them. So yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of really great stuff. So I encourage people to read the chat and even react as you are listening to this on demand. Okay. Well, gentlemen, I bid you adieu. Happy Pride to you both. And I'll see you out at the parade.
Yeah. See you soon, folks. Take care.
Hey, let's talk about what's going on real quick. And there's so much going on. I also realized that there's some stuff that I don't have on this calendar that I need to add. But primarily, get tanked with Troy. That's the thing I really want to talk about. Join me on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Pacific, live Zoom call. You dive in, we talk about all kinds of stuff. You it's sometimes it's unhinged. Sometimes we are all over the place, and sometimes we're getting some business done. And you're going to be hanging out, and maybe you got to remind me of something that I forgot, like I owe you a thing, or maybe you owe me a thing, and we're going to talk about getting that thing done. I will tell you some huge things are happening on the horizon. We're actively building some really wonderful engagement opportunities through streaming, through events, through all kinds of stuff. So if you want to get connected with that, join me for Get Tanked with Troy, Thursdays, 4 p.m. Pacific. All you got to do is go to atomicthinktank.com, go to our events calendar, and then you will see the link. Click on it, and if it's a Thursday, you can join the meeting. Excuse me. And it's a heck of a lot of fun. So with that, now it is time for my other favorite segment, which is What's in the Tank? Oh, you saw his face there. Hi, Devious.
Hey there, hi there, ho there.
It's you're sounding just a little far away from your mic. Like, yeah, one of those things, perhaps.
Un momento, por favor.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, you sound kind of far away.
Is that better?
Yes, there you are, my
Egg salad.
friend. Excellent. Now I'm looking at my music. Did I upload? Oh, hang on. Here we go. Listen. Is it playing?
It is. I hear it.
Well, that's not the thing I thought it was. It's nice, though.
Yeah, I kind of like it.
Kind of sounds a little spy-y.
It sounds like a really, really good music to narrate something, and you creep slowly into the, something a little creepy, a little tense, building tension. I like it.
This is the time of day on Monday when Devious hangs out with us and we talk about all of the amazing things for Mutants and Masterminds that happen in the tank. And we call this What's in the Tank.
That's a good name for it.
I like it a lot. And I like you a lot, my friend.
Thank you.
Let's talk about what's in the tank. You've got a lot of stuff to cover, huh?
Well, we did take off for 2 weeks, but I did kind of take it easy. I got a lot of stuff going on right now, but there's good things afoot, good things coming down the pike.
Yes.
First of all, I want to wish everybody a happy and fantastic and fabulous Happy Pride Month.
Thank you.
No worries. I want everybody to know that I love and accept, and I think you are all groovy. And I just want us to all get along and have a great time. And I love and support you all.
Yes.
So on to the tank. What for articles we have in there is it came from Reddit number 6, saying no to players and house rules. Basically, Mutants and Masterminds can be a system that does open itself up to player abuse. If they get in there and they take the right combination, you have your bathroom mentalist powers, you have your different speedster powers, different things like being completely intangible, and just all sorts of ridiculousness that would make the GM have to accommodate throwing one particular villain up against that player. Otherwise, they just run over everything else. So it's basically an article on that. There's also, it came from Reddit, creating a short campaign. Short campaign's a great way if you're GM is getting some burnout. Just a short campaign, not necessarily a one shot, but more one of those patented Alex Thomas 3 or 4 shots. Just basically a nice story arc where there's multiple parts to it to kind of get your feel of the game as well. It's also a great way to introduce Mutants and Masterminds to new players. So if they want to take a break from another game they've been playing, another game with an ampersand in it, for instance, this is a brand new way to introduce it to them. There's an article on immortality in Mutants and Masterminds, and this is another one of my Grand Theft articles. There's a Because Science person. Let me open this here. Because Science, this gentleman, puts together all these wonderful little videos on YouTube talking about different superpowers and what they would mean. I did one of his recently in flight, but this is about immortality, and I kind of got into the details on how immortality could be implemented into Mutants and Masterminds.
Can I
Just
tell you something, my friend? I love
Yeah.
these. I love these Grand Theft articles. I mean, it's just such a fun way of sort of looking at the impact of something and connecting with other creators that are doing some great stuff out there that, you know, kind of help you wrap your mind around some of these pretty complex issues, right? Like the flying one, you know, I mean, there's so many things you don't think of. It could be kind of, you know, especially when Mutants and Masterminds lends itself so well to the what's your complication, you know? I love that.
Exactly. His are very detailed when it comes to thinking about the minutia of things. His one on flight went into how far you could go up in the atmosphere before you would need to have an oxygen supply,
Right.
or like resistance to pressure or resistance to cold, because it gets very cold up there. But,
yeah, it's a very practical way of looking at things, and I think that it just helps kind of. Is it Kyle Hill? Is that who the person is?
I believe it is. Let me find his name. I think I put it in here. Oh, I didn't put his name in here. I think it is Kyle Hill. It's Because Science. I did put a link right here for everybody who just wants to go to the general channel. And here's one that specifically on the video I watched and took notes on in order to get to this article. So it does that, but I think it is Kyle Hill. Yes.
You know, tell him Mumamo sent you.
There you go. He'll know exactly what that means.
Yeah. Well, hopefully
he
wants to look into more. But yeah, that's great. Okay.
But we also have the article du jour, the featured article, which is the Indonesian superhero movie review, Gundala and Sri Asi, done by Mr. Paul Urua.
Nice, Paul.
Let me see if I can bring that up. I think I have it open in a tab. There we go. This is just a really great little article on superhero cinema from Indonesia, and I think it's a really nice look at it. I think some of their cinema is good and preposterous to the point where it's just, oh, this is fantastic.
So great. Yeah.
Absolutely. But there's like they've had superheroes going back from the 50s forward as well. And just looking at some of the artwork, here's like an actual film Gundala, but you can see the original from back in the day, with the wings and whatnot. It's just, look at that. There we go. Shriyasi. Wonderful. On to characters. Holy crap, Matt Mabray. Do you take a break? Do you? Sit down, son. Take a rest.
And they're all great. It's all good.
Oh, absolutely.
Stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
The main heroes thing is really fun. It's so fun.
Oh yeah, especially like looking back at some of them are kind of a little preposterous. There are some really cool ones, you know, Captain Battle, Blue Lady, Hydra Man, Phantoma, but like Dick Cole, Wonder Boy. What a great name.
It's great. I love it.
Spider Queen. I went ahead and I put all the like a directory of all of them. These are just,
look at that.
These are not ones just from these last 2 weeks. It's also the previous ones he did before: Spectro, Kitten, Six Gun Gorilla, Flame Girl as well. So if you want to like take a perusal of all the wonderful work that Matt Mabray has been doing, you know, check that out below. Also, I do want to mention Chris Davies also has put in 3 entries as well: Buenapil, Maggie, and Jedza. And I think I pronounced those right. Again, don't know. You're going to have to let me know, folks. For the agenda this week, we, of course, have today's episode of Mumamo, Pride Month.
Yes,
we have on Wednesday the 21st, Superhero Shenanigans. Yay! Definitely check them out. A great story roll through. Go to Twitch. And one of the cool things about the broadcast that they have is if you get the points in the channel, you can buy hero points for the players. If you really like the way somebody's role playing something, they do have some smaller rewards, like just +2 or +5 bonuses. I really think it's a great way to interact with the audience, and I think it's allows you to kind of participate in the fun and have some sway in what's going on. So that's another thing I really, really like about that. And of course, you have the inimitable Claude Dardar, who is GMing the game, along
He's
with
good at it,
Kate
too.
the Great Cosplays, doing
That's
a
right.
wonderful production on her end, getting everything together, getting everything coordinated. That is Wednesday, this upcoming Wednesday, the 20th. I put May 21st. I want to change that. No. That would be this upcoming Wednesday, the 4th. And it's at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern.
I'm not going to read anything coming from the chat right now because it's very problematic. Yes. Awesome. And now, Don't Come on Character, are you still in chat? Did I see you there? Shannon posted something really exciting on I believe I saw it on the think tank. Sometimes I I do have a little information for you, Gene. I'll talk about that in just a second. Very little information, but I'll let you know. Okay, so here we go. Superhero Shenanigans. We're an hour later this week, so starting at 8 Eastern, 5
I
Pacific.
will get that updated along with the date that I messed up. Sorry about that, guys.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Next we have, of course, if you didn't get enough of Claude, the awesome sauceness, on Thursday, right prior to Thursday, he has RPG Talk, or as I like to call it, Mumamo Redux, or Mumathu, because it's on Thursday, with Claude. And what he does is he looks at the topic from Mumamo, and what he'll do is he'll make a character based on that, or he'll talk about the subject as well. It's a really good insight into his mind as a game master. Really great GM, and again, neck and neck with RC Byler for Sexiest Game Master Alive.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the votes are coming
rolling on right after Thursday.
That's right.
Get Tanked with Troy. I love these. I love hanging out with you and hearing about what other projects and things people have going on in the community.
Yeah.
Don't Come a Character, Kate the Great has stopped by and talked about what she's doing with the broadcast. We've had people in there like David Bolak, who's working on that wonderful Markdown editor. Can't say enough about that.
Really fantastic.
Great project. It's a really great way to connect with you and also connect with others who might be able to help on your projects. I've been talking with David a little bit and helping him out making like different borders and looking at the fonts and things like that. And I think, hopefully I've helped out. But the sheer amount of work that he's done on it is just fantastic. Next Monday, June 9th, 2025, we have Golden Squad. Dun, dun, dun. That's going to be on Spotify. You can follow the link there for a Linktree to get more information. But it's also in events, so you can click on that link directly and it'll take you. It says webinar, but it takes you to the Spotify link for it.
Lovely.
And of course, we have already mentioned the featured article this time around, Indonesian superheroes, Gandala and Triasha, and the featured stat blocks that we have as well.
I dig it. One of a contributor, a dear friend, Shannon Diaz, with Imagineif Media, has a little spot on the think tank. The Murder a la Mode, Brindlewood Bay Mystery by Metal Art Games, produced by Imagineif Media, is a nominee for a Crit Award.
Ooh, cool.
Very cool. Yeah, very excited to see that, and invite everybody to go and give some love and congratulations. The topic for this week's Thursday is one that I'm going to figure out. I don't know what it's going to be. We've got, if there's something you have in mind, I could certainly entertain an idea. But yeah, click on that link, head on over to the Atomic Think Tank. If you're not already a member, sign up. It's so easy. It's so cool. It's so fun. And what a great resource. All the stuff that Devious has shared, the heroes and all the stat blocks, and there's a lot of villains in there too. It's like a library. You got to check it out. You got to utilize them. And thank you. I was just that's Shannon's announcement in the think tank, which I think is fantastic. And I do believe that now is it the vote time? Don't folks go and give a click or something? I'm not real familiar with the Crit Awards. They haven't quite acknowledged that we exist as an organization.
I haven't
But
looked at this quite yet, but definitely go and review it. And
please
if there
do.
is a vote that's needed, go vote.
Yeah,
And
and check out
throw some love towards Imagineif.
and give a couple more clicks and give the stream a like and subscribe to the channel. Do all that stuff because it is an honor to be nominated. But this is all about exposure, getting people their just rewards, just
And
rewards, just desserts,
there
whatever
you
it is.
go.
Go
And
follow.
as the famous Louisiana politician Huey P. Long once said, remember, vote early and vote often. There you go.
That's right. And it's free. There are some elements that you have to pay for, but not normal stuff, abnormal stuff. That's of course the Cape and Cow Club. And the Cape and Cow Club, for $8 a month, you get to hang out without Steve and I as we do all kinds of weird stuff, like develop a storyline in a city called Pinewood, a little country. Is it like country backwoods? What would you call it?
It's just a rural
Yeah.
town in Ohio. It's got like a lumber industry. It's about 10,000 strong, and everything would be fine if all those strange things didn't keep happening.
So many strange things. Yeah.
Mhm.
But that's neither here nor there. All the things that we just shared and showed, that's all free. All you got to do is sign up.
Mhm.
That's it. Oh, look at that.
Sorry.
No, yeah.
Here we have what you just put in there, the stat blocks, the Golden
Yeah.
Age Patriot Hero, War
We got
Hero,
more.
and Master Spy. All there available for you if you're
Yeah,
part
we
of the
released
thing.
that on the last Monday.
Mhm.
Monday? Yeah.
I believe so.
So we're gonna
But
do a few more. Tempo does mention.
oh, and I love the mix-ups.
They're
The
fun.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, one second. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, the M&M mix-ups are
That's
basically
off kilter.
the community decides on like a villain and a place that aren't necessarily associated, and Steve and Alex have to figure out how it
How
works.
that works.
Yeah, so you get a little content for you to have some fun with.
Right. It's a great little adventure you can throw into your game if need be. Also, a lot of them go to a lot of wide-faring places within Earth Prime. So if you want to give your folks a little bit of a vacation, a little bit of travel in Earth Prime, it's a great way to do that as well.
The other thing too is that it's a great opportunity for you just to ask questions about the process of, like, maybe you have designs on being a developer, or or you're actively working on a project, or maybe you're somebody who is wants to participate in the third party publisher program, super powered by M&M, all that kind of stuff. You get to sit down with the guys. Like, we have developer chats, we have all kinds of stuff. It's pretty unprecedented. It's $8 a month.
I have gotten some phenomenal feedback from them. It's just invaluable, and
Yeah.
me trying to develop myself as a writer here in the industry and doing what I can to get
That's right.
Get in where I fit in.
Absolutely. I do, yeah, Duke. I do think that that's a great talk. The 5th season preview did come out, but we'll focus on the M&M of it all. But I'll take that under advisement. I think that might be a good thing for us to discuss on Thursday. I just need to get a developer who's available for that Thursday, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, they really are. Paul mentions choosing the mix-ups because it's something we all vote on, have people vote on, and so it is. It's always fun to see where it goes because it's already starting weird. But okay, well, I feel like there was something else.
The only thing else I wanted to mention was the grad, the Green Ronin Atomic Assembly Discord server.
Yes,
it's a great time to get over there, and it was originally kind of set up for age, but now it's going to be expanded to accommodate the Mutants Masterminds folks as well. We're going to get in there and take a look in the near future about doing some things there, maybe hosting some talks and just some.
We've got a big plan. Let me pause you real quick, and I can speak from the actual playbook. So the plan will be to have developer chats. To have, we're also going to be integrating our customer service apparatus into the tank, so that people can actually send in a ticket and not leave Discord. They'll have to leave the channel.
Ooh.
And we're 100% going to make it a place where you can talk about all kinds of good stuff, which is why we changed the name, just because and we're working really closely with our dear friend, the Duke. And I'm also, I got to tell you, I want Duke to come hang out on Thursday with me.
Ooh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I love
regularly.
it when he comes on. I just love hanging out with him.
He's really fun. Yeah,
he's fun and he's very positive. It is
Yes.
hard not to smile when the man starts talking because he's just so full of joy.
That's right, absolutely. Wherever he goes, and but I would really love to. Yeah, so I'm not putting on any pressure, of course, Duke.
No whatsoever. It's just
just saying
if he doesn't do it, he's out of the will.
You don't want anything I have to leave.
All that gravy? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean maybe the gravy tome, that might be valuable.
The grand tome of gravy.
That's right.
Well, actually, I think it would be better if it was the grand grimoire of gravy.
Grimoire. Yes.
Grimoire. Yeah.
And you, I believe you got me that for Christmas.
Oh yes, there you go.
The Book of Gravies.
I saw it and I was like, this must go to Troy.
Oh, Stan says, okay, I'm here. The show can start. I guess we'll have to start from the beginning.
All right, you need to call Alex and Steve.
Hold on. Let me get on the phone. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, good.
Anyway, Stan, you're never late. You're always right on time. And in this moment, you're right in time for me to say, hey, everybody, thanks so much for hanging out and listening. Also, really, truly, thank you for giving us a space to be able to have these kinds of conversations like we did today. It's just a day on the calendar, in June when we're having a dialogue about superheroes, but it feels great to be able to have this conversation and to just be normal and have normal dialogue and have these sort of opportunities to just unpack some stuff. And I think it's great. And I want to thank you and say, hey, if you ever were worried that, am I doing enough? Being there, being in the conversation, having the dialogue, supporting the show by listening and chatting is doing the work. And I appreciate it. I really do. I value it very deeply. That's right, Stan. You got it for the wrap up. So, just in time. So with that, I say, what do we say?
Bye-bye.
That's right, everyone. Bye-bye. Have a great rest of your week.
Bye-bye.
See you.